teachings of Rabbi Ephraim Sprecher, Dean of Students at Diaspora Yeshiva on Mount Zion, Jerusalem.
This week's Parsha, we read two Torahs. We take out two Torahs. We read Parshat Tetzaveh, the regular Torah reading, and we also read Parshat Zachor. Remember what Amalek did? Because Haman is a descendant of Amalek. So therefore, this Shabbos, the Shabbos before Purim, we read Parshat Zachor. Parshat Zachor. Remember what Amalek did to you. First, let's look at Parshat Tetzaveh. It's amazing that Parshat Tetzaveh always falls out around Purim time. So what can be the connection between Parshat Tetzaveh and Purim? Parshat Tetzaveh is the only parsha in the Torah after Moshe Rabbeinu was born that his name is not mentioned. Of the 54 parshas in the Torah, after Moshe is born, all parshas contain his name except Tetzaveh. Madua v'lama. Tetzaveh always falls out around Zayin Adar. And Zayin Adar is when Moshe Rabbeinu passed away. So there's a hint, so therefore, Parshat Tetzaveh, which always falls around Zayin Adar, Moshe Rabbeinu's Yotzai, his name is not mentioned, is a remez that he will be taken away in Parshat Tetzaveh, which always falls around Zayin Adar. But what does Parshat Tetzaveh got to do with what? With Purim. The Parsha is all about Big Day Kahuna. Do clothes make the man? Clothes don't make the man, but clothes is a symbol to remind us that we are all Mamlechas Kohanim Megol Kadosh. All of us are all the kingdom of Kohanim. So we have to wear clothes that what? That express who we are. We have to dress modestly and neatly and cleanly. Clothes make the man? No. But clothes remind us. You ever wonder why animals don't wear any clothes? Mr. Ed never wore pants, and Elsie the cow never wore a. Remember Elsie the cow, Avi? She never wore a dress. Why is tznius so important in Judaism? Why is it so important? Why is skin called hide? Look up in the dictionary. Skin, a synonym is called hide. I'll tan your hide. Why is clothes so important? And why is skin called hide? Just like skin covers the body itself is, skin hides the body. But the body itself is hiding who I am. Who am I? I'm a godly soul. Clothes remind us that just like clothes are not the person, it's only a covering. So my body, skin, only hides who I am. I'm a godly soul. Clothes are so important, reminds us that just like clothes is only a garment, the body itself is only a garment that can hide, the skin hides who I am. Who am I? I'm a godly soul. It ties in with Purim. Because Purim, we're all wearing we're all masquerading. What's our mask, Abraham? What's our mask? The body. The body is masking who I am. I am a godly soul. I'm a soul man. And therefore this parsha always falls out speaking about clothes. We're all wearing a mask. The body masks who we are. We are a Tzelem Elokim. We're a godly soul masquerading in a human goof. But that's not who I am. But there's much more to Parshat Tetzaveh that ties in with Purim. If you look at the end of Parshat Tetzaveh, you can tell us what page. There are extra books here. Anybody want? It's important to look in. Look at the end of Parshat Tetzaveh, on Exodus 29, Exodus 30 actually. The end of Parshat Tetzaveh, Exodus 30, Pasuk 1.
Page 483.
483, chapter 30, verse 1. You shall make a Mizbach Katoret Atzei Shitim. It's very strange. All of the vessels of the Mishkan are contained in Parshas Truma, except the altar, the golden altar where incense was burned. Why does the Torah mention all the vessels of the Mishkan, except Exodus 30, verse 1, it mentions the Mizbach Ketorah. For some reason that's left behind and put where? In Parshat Tetzaveh, which always falls around Purim time. What in the world does the Mizbach Ketorah have to do with Purim? And therefore the Torah doesn't mention it with all the other vessels in Truma, but leaves it over for Tetzaveh that deals with what? Somehow it must tie in with what? With Purim. Fasten your seatbelts for this. Okay, let's go to Exodus 30, Pasuk 10. What are you supposed to do with the golden altar? What takes place there?
Aaron shall bring atonement upon its horns once a year, from the blood of the sin offerings of atonements once a year. So I presume it must be from before, right? So he should bring atonement upon it for your generations.
So the Mizbach Hazov serves a double function. One, incense is burned every morning and every afternoon in the Mizbach Hazov, but on Yom Kippur there's a special service on Yom Kippur in verse 10. V'chipa Aaron al karnoisav achat bashana. Aaron shall make atonement on the horns of the golden altar achat bashana. We have that verse 10. What page was that?
It's page 43.
43 verse 10.
They don't normally have the service on the horns.
This is once a year on Yom Kippur.
On the horns.
On the horn, you're supposed to spritz the blood, right? Once a year, midam chatas hakipurim, achas bashana yechaper olav. Why does the pasuk repeat itself? Avi, it says achat bashana twice. You see pasuk 10? Aaron shall make atonement, achat bashana, once a year. Ana kippurim, again achat bashana, again once a year. You said you shall make atonement on the altar on Kippurim. It doesn't say Yom Kippur, it says Kippurim. Kippurim, Avi, look at the word, Pasuk Yud, Achas Bashana. So why is the Achas Bashana written twice, Yehuda? It says the Holy Riyah Kadosh. Look at the word HaKippurim. The Zohar says that Yom Kippur is Yom Kippurim, or Purim is Yom Kippurim. You see the word HaKippurim in English? Not in English, in Hebrew. HaKippurim, a day like Purim. Yom Kippur is a day like what? Like Purim. And therefore it's Achas Bashana written twice. Rachmiel. One Achas Bashana for Yom HaKippurim, you get Kapara. And Achas Bashana once a year, again you get Kapara. What's the second Achas Bashana? Kippurim. Purim. So therefore, Parshat Tetzaveh always falls out around Purim time. The Torah is telling us that a Jew gets kapara on Yom Kippurim, and he also gets kapara when? On Purim. Otherwise, Yehuda, the word Achas Bashana is redundant. You get kapara once a year, again you say once a year. But once a year, twice. Chanoch, once is not enough. Once a year you get kapara on Yom Kippurim, and the other day Kippurim. Look at the word Kippurim. And therefore Achas Bashana is written twice. That's pretty incredible. So the Mishnah tells us in Yuma that Yom Kippur only atones between sins between man and God. Sins between man and man, Yom Kippurim does not atone. Which day does atone for sins between man and man? Purim. Again, Avi, you with me on this? The Mishnah Yuma says Yom Kippur only atones for sins between man and God. Sins between man and man, Yom Kippur does not atone. And which sin is worse? Man and man is worse. Because it's a double header. If you sin against man, you sin against God too. So Yom Kippur only atones between man and God. Yom Kippur does not atone between man and man. So which day does atone between man and man? Purim. Purim, 1 minute. Because you're giving gifts, you're inviting guests, you're bringing mishlach manos, you're spreading good cheer and good feeling. That's how you get kapara between Odom and Chaveroi. And therefore this parsha is always read Purim time. And therefore it says Achas Bashana twice. You get kapara once a year, once a year. Once a year between man and God, Avi, which is Yom Kippur. And the other Achas Bashana is when? Look at the text, Purim. It says Purim. Isn't that incredible? That's just amazing. That's just amazing. We know Yom Kippur is only once a year. But there's another Purim kapara and Odom Lechaveroi. Wow, that's pretty amazing. And look at the end of the verse, Yehuda. It's incredible. it says that the Mizbeach service is L'dorotechem. You see the end of Pasuk 10, how they translate in English? L'dorotechem, throughout your generations. But the Mizbeach is not L'dorotechem. We haven't had a Mizbeach in a few thousand years. So what's L'dorotechem? Yaakov. Purim. Purim is Dorosechem. The Mizbach service with all the other temple services, Avi, is gone. But what's the Dorotechem? Purim. That remains forever. So, Yom Kippur is the sins between man and God. Purim, if you sin against a fellow human being, you want kapara, send him mishloach monot. Matanas Evyonim, a suda, and that's why you gain kapara, sins between man and man, which we know is worse, because you sin against a fellow human being, you're sinning against him and against his godly soul. It's a twofer. So in a way, Purim is even holier than what? Than Yom Kippurim. That's an amazing idea. And Yom Kippurim. So this is the Torah reading. The Torah reading, if you back up to Exodus 29, verse 45. V'shachanti b'toch b'nei Yisrael, and I will dwell amongst my people Israel. See that? Pasuk 45, the Exodus 29, 45. God doesn't dwell in a building. V'shachanti b'toch b'nei Yisrael. Where do I dwell? What page would that be? What?
Same verse?
Exodus 29, verse 45. V'shachanti b'toch b'nei Yisrael. God doesn't dwell in the building.
481.
V'shachanti b'toch b'nei Yisrael. God dwells b'toch b'nei Yisrael.
481.
481, Pasuk 45. Abby, you have that? There's an extra book here in case you need it. So therefore, the Lubavitcher Rebbe says, therefore the Mishkan was covered with animal skin. Why was the Mishkan covered with layers of animal skin? Because when you look at the Mishkan with the animal skin, you remind yourself of verse 45, Avi. What does verse 45 say? I shall rest my presence where? In the animal skin? Avi, no. I've got you under my skin. The Mishkan with the animal skin is only a reminder that God dwells under my skin. It's a tangible symbol. And in case you don't hear it once, look at verse 46, Avi, the very next verse, 46.
They shall know that I am Hashem their God, who took them out of the land of Egypt to rest my presence among them.
To rest my presence where? In the tent?
No.
No, Avi, b'tocham. Again, in case you didn't hear verse 45, God says, hey, verse 46. The Mishkan is only a tangible symbol that I dwell underneath your skin. Wow, that's pretty amazing. Wow. So why did God take us out of Egypt? Verse 46, very slowly, Avi. Can you speak up a little bit louder? Verse 46, very slowly. There's an extra book there. Oh, you have one.
They shall know that I am Hashem their God, who took them out of the land of Egypt to rest my presence among them.
Finish the verse.
I am Hashem their God.
So Rashi says, why did I take the Jews out of Cairo? Al menas lishko ani betocham. The reason I took them out is I want to dwell amongst them. So Rabbeinu Bechai says something amazing on this pasuk. Hashem is saying in verse 46, the reason He took us out of Egypt is not what? So much for our sake, but what? His own sake. Avi, you getting this? Where's partner? 50-50? Rabbeinu Bechai says on verse 46, Bill, I wouldn't dare say this myself. But Rabbeinu Bechai says at verse 46, God is telling us that the reason He took us out of Egypt is not so much for the sake of us, but rather for His own sake. Because we're His partners. Wow, what a verse. Pretty amazing. That's what the verse seems to say. No? Therefore, at Matan Torah, remember a couple of weeks ago, God told Moshe, take half of the blood of the Korban, spritz it on the Mizbeach, and the other half spritz it what? On the Pippel. Who does Mizbeach represent? Mizbeach represents God, and we're the people. So 50-50. Exactly. So God is not just we're not just his partner, but it's 50-50. Half of the blood was spritzed on the altar, and the other half, the bris of the covenant, at Kabbalah Torah, right? We brought Karbonot. So half was spritzed on the Mizbeach, representing God, and the other half was spritzed on the people. Avi, we're not just his partner, it's 50-50.
And the angel had to make sure it was exactly.
That's why the angel had to come. Right? The angel had to come and make sure. Couldn't Moses figure out what's 50-50? But God sent the Malach. That it has to be exactly 50-50. You're not just my partner, you're my 50-50 partner. Incredible Rashi. And Rav Soloveitchik based on this Rashi. Wow. Now Purim's message, it's not what you gather, it's what you scatter. Matonos Lavyonim. The most important mitzvah is alms for the poor, alms for the poor. So it's not what you gather in life, Chanoch, you know this, it's what you scatter. That's what matters. Matonos Lavyon. Therefore the word Natan, we spoke last week, is a palindrome. Natan, when you give, you're giving back to yourself. That's what Purim is all about. That's what Purim is all about. Now, if you look at the same Exodus 30, Aaron has to burn incense twice a day. You know Exodus 30, verse 7. What page would that be?
483 again.
483:7. Aaron shall burn Ketores on it.
Upon it shall Aaron burn the spice, incense up in smoke. Every morning, when he cleans the lamps, he shall bring it up in smoke.
When he cleans the lamps, he shall what?
Bring it up in smoke.
So when one Kohen is cleaning the menorah, the other Kohen is what? Burning incense. But the Hebrew says, Beitiva tanerot. The English says what in verse 7?
On it shall Aaron bring the spice up in smoke. Every morning, when he cleans the lamps, he shall bring
when he
it up.
cleans the lamps?
Yeah.
But it doesn't say that in the Hebrew, Yehuda, you take Ulpan. It says, Beheitiva tanerot. You have that, Bilha? Verse 7. Right on top of the maftir. It says, Beheitiva tanerot. When he does good to the candles. What the heck does that mean? That's what it says in Hebrew. Beheitiva tanerot. When he does good to the candles. What does that mean, Avi? Ner Hashem nishmat Adam. The human being, says Mishle, is compared to what? God's candle. That's why for a yahrzeit, what do you light? Ner Hashem nishmat Adam. The Torah is saying, do good to your candle. What's your candle? Your godly soul. Be good to your godly soul. How do you do good to your godly soul? By doing good to others, you're doing good to your godly soul. Isn't that amazing, Avi? Purim. Kwinky Dinky, this Parsha always comes out Purim time. Beheitiva tanerot. When he does good to his candle. The Ner Hashem Nishmas Adam. Do good to your Ner Hashem Nishmas Adam. How? By doing Purim mitzvot. By giving Matonos Lavyonim. That's how you do good to your godly soul, which is called a Ner Hashem. That's why this Parsha is always read around Purim time. Isn't that amazing? Let's get to the maftir. The maftir, Parshat Zachor. We take out a second Torah, Daniel, the Shabbos, and we read Deuteronomy 25. We read Deuteronomy 25. Maftir. Anybody in English? Avi. Deuteronomy 25, Maftir, verse 17.
It's on page 1067.
1067. Verse 17. Remember. What?
1067.
Verse 17.
Remember what Amalek did to you on the way when you were leaving Egypt. That he happened upon you on the way,
And he struck those of you who were hindmost, all the weaklings at your rear, when you were faint and exhausted, and you did not fear God. It shall be then, when Hashem your God gives you rest from all your enemies all around, in the land that Hashem your God gives you, second time an inheritance to possess it, third time, you shall wipe out the memory of Amalek from under the heaven, you shall not forget.
So why is this parsha always read before Purim? Avi, who was Haman? A descendant of Amalek. So it's very matim to read this parsha. To remember Amalek had attacked. Haman, Amalek, Abu Mamzer, it's the same address. Now, most poskim say that women are exempt from hearing Parshat Zachor. Minority opinion that women should also hear Parshat Zachor. But the majority opinion is, Chanok, that women are exempt from hearing Parshat Zachor. They want, they get extra brownie points, but they don't have to. Why are they exempt from reading Parshat Zachor? My granddaughter, Elisheva, said a tremendous chiddush. Elisheva, remember you told me you looked like her when you were her age. She had tremendous chiddush. She said, look at the word Zachor. Pasuk Yud Zayin. Look at the Hebrew. Zachor. Anybody? Yud Zayin. Zachor. It's the same shorish as the word Zachar. Right. Look at the word Zachor. What does Zachor mean? Remember. But Zachor only means what? A male. It's the same word. So how come women are exempt? So my granddaughter said, because women have a bina yetera, women don't need to be reminded to do the right thing. For them it comes natural. You hear what she said? Women have a bina yetera. Therefore the word neshama, the word shechina, the word Torah, the word mitzvah, and the word emunah are all what? Maral says this, not me. Women are much higher level. So my granddaughter said, remember and boy, it's the same root. Zachor. I think a lot of them like it. Zachor, Zachor. Women always know what to do is right. Wow. That's pretty amazing. Therefore, the word for wife, Daniel, Aleph Shin Hey, wife in Hebrew, Aleph Shin Hey, has the same gematria as the word Musar, 306, which means rebuke. The tafkid of a wife is to rebuke the hubby. But it's also gematria Devash. Isha, wife, and Musar, rebuke, the same gematria, but also Devash. Honey, I'm home. A woman has to rebuke her husband, but she has to do it, what, Avi? In a honey way, otherwise it's counterproductive. That's pretty incredible. Now, why was Amalek singled out to be? We have many enemies in Jewish history. Why was Amalek singled out more than any other nation? Rashi says something incredible. Why Amalek was singled out. Asher karcha baderech. Rashi Yudches 18. The word karcha, from the word loshen keri v'tuma. Rashi said the word karcha is from the word keri. What does keri mean? A semen. Rashi says something amazing. The Amalekites, before they would murder their innocent victims, would commit homosexual rape on them. That's what Rashi says. So before they would murder the victims, they would rape them homosexually. And therefore, for this double sin of immorality and murder, they are singled out more than any other nation. It's just amazing. That's what Rashi says. The perverts. Now, right before this Amalekite attack, there's a parsha. Take a look at verse 15. See that, Bila? When there are two parshas in the Torah next door, there got to be a connection. Let's back up. The Amalek, remember it's verse 17, right, Bila? Back up to verse 15. Exodus 25, verse 15. No, not Exodus. Deuteronomy, the same. Deuteronomy 25, 15, where you are. What page would that be?
1065.
Verse 15. Go ahead.
1065. 1065.
A perfect and honest weight shall you have.
Right.
An honest measure shall you have, so that your days shall be lengthened on the land of Hashem your God gives you.
Next verse.
For an abomination of Hashem your God are all who do this, all who act corruptly.
And then remember the Amalek attack. Rashi wonders, what does cheating in business and being a schwindler got to do with the PLO terrorist attack? So Rashi says, be very careful. If you cheat and swindle in business, then lo yaleinu, Abu Mamzer strikes. What's the connection? And cheating in business is called toyavat. Look at verse 16. Avi, it's an abomination to swindle. That word toyava, which is cheating and swindling in business, is used. You know where it's used before that in the Torah? It is used in the Torah, if you go back to Vayikra 18, Pasuk 22. Vayikra 18:22. That word is used again. Ve'zocha lo tishkav mishkevei isha toyevahi. With a male you shall not lie like with a woman is a toyeva. So the homosexual act is called a toyeva, and cheating in business is also called a toyeva. What could be the connection, Chanoch? What has being a homo got to do with cheating in business?
You're an abomination of both.
But why? You're right, but why? So Rashi says something amazing. Rashi quotes a posuk in Mishlei, Ma'oznei mirma to'avas Hashem. Those people that have cheating scales, that's a toyava. Ma'oznei. How do you say a scale in Hebrew? Ma'oznayim, no? Ma'oznayim? Why is a scale in Hebrew called what? Ears, why? Where's your balance? Ask any doctor, where's your balance to walk straight? It's your ears.
In your inner ear.
Stick it in your ear, what'd you say?
Your inner ear.
So therefore scales in Hebrew are called Maznayim, because that's the balance. So Mishlei 11 says, if you have false, lying, and fake news scales, it's a toyava for Hashem. It's an abomination. So Yehuda, my friend, says, what's the connection between being a homo and cheating with false scales? So Yehuda said, both of them are keneget hateva. Being a homo is going against the balance of nature. And swindling in business and cheating is going against the balance of nature. Because I really believe that God's in charge, no one would have to swindle. Chanoch, if you believe that the boss got it under control, whatever I have to make, I'll make anyway, why am I cheating and swindling for? It's against nature. You don't trust that God is in charge. Whatever you have to get, you're not going to get a shekel more or less. So why are you having false weights and measures? You're not maznai, you're not balanced. So Yehuda said a good word. He said that being a homo is going against the balance of nature, and so is swindling in business. To be a cheater and a swindler with false weights, and therefore the Torah uses the same word. Cheating in business and being what? Homosexual. It's not PC to say it, right? The Torah is not PC. But that's what it is. That's what it is. So Rashi says over here, why Amalek was singled out? They raped their victims of homosexual rape and then they murdered them. That's what Rashi says. And another word, karcha, from the word kar, and hot and cold. When the Jews left Egypt, the Jews were red hot. No nation would dare what? Attack us. Amalek came and they showed that we bleed like everybody else. We're vulnerable. So even though Amalek knew they're going to get what? Burned and killed. But Rashi said what makes them so despicable, that their hatred for us is stronger than the love of their own lives. You know anybody like that? Who they hate us more than they love their own lives. I think that's Abu Mamzer and company. Hezbollah, Hamas. The spirit of Amalek is very much alive. Chaim Soloveitchik 100 years ago said, Amalek is not a nation, it's any goy that hates the Jews more than they love their own lives. That's Amalek. They're willing to destroy themselves to take a Jew with them. Now, who did they attack? Verse 18, Billah. Who did they attack? Want to read verse 18 in the text? He met you on the road, and he cut off all the weak ones, the stragglers. Rashi wonders, there was a force field, Chanoch. There was a magic cloud surrounding us on all sides. How could Abu Mamzer get through?
Stragglers.
But there was a force shield, the Ananei Kavod Avi on all sides. How could the terrorists get through? So Rashi says it doesn't mean physically weak. It means they were spiritually weak that the magic cloud cast them out. Spiritually weak. Therefore, they didn't deserve divine protection and they became vulnerable. And that's who Amalek attacked. And therefore, we have to hate them, revenge, because any Jew that's harmed, even a sinful Jew, we must take revenge for spilled Jewish blood. Doesn't matter if he's a sinner or not. Powerful Rashi over here. And Amalek didn't fear God. And he attacked you. So therefore, verse 19. What does it say, Billah? Verse 19. When Hashem gives you...
It shall be that Hashem, your God, gives you rest from all your enemies all around in the land that Hashem, your God, gives you as an inheritance to possess it. You shall wipe out the memory of Amalek from under the heaven. You shall not forget.
You should not forget to what? To destroy your enemy.
Yes.
Right? Not to what? Bomb empty buildings?
No.
Right?
Right.
So here it says that we have to destroy Amalek. If you look back in Exodus 17, let's do some text analysis, Billah. You have the book in front of you, so go back to Exodus 17 where the actual attack took place. Exodus 17 was just 17, and you know what you go back to Exodus 17, there the Amalekites attack us. Verse 14, the Maftir.
Page 393.
393, 14. Hashem said to Moses, I'll be a little louder, please. What?
Write this as a remembrance in the book and recite.
Which book? In the Torah.
And recite it in the ears of Joshua, that I shall surely erase the memory of Amalek from under the heavens.
God, make up your mind. Here in Exodus 17, Daniel says, who will destroy Amalek? God says, I do it. But wait a minute. In this, the Parsha we're going to read this Shabbos in Deuteronomy 25, God says the IDF has to do it. Well, God, make up your mind. So you can say 50-50 partners. That's good. Excellent. That's great too. 50-50. Exodus 17, God says, I'm going to do it. Deuteronomy 25, this week's reading, God says the IDF does it. Daniel, 50-50 partners. Great. But I want to give another explanation. In Exodus 17, the Jewish people didn't have a land yet. They were still wanderer on the wanderer. Didn't have an army yet. Didn't have a nation. Outside of Eretz Yisrael, there, the Jewish people cannot defend themselves. Exodus 17, we were still chutz la'aretz. We had no nation, we had no country, we had no land, we had no army. So God says, you can't defend yourself. In Deuteronomy 25, Bill, I'll read it again slowly. Deuteronomy 25:19, what page is that?
What page? I get
Devarim 25:19, Avi. Can you read that? Devarim 25:19. This week's Parsha reading.
That's 1067.
1067:19, Avi. Can you read it loud and clear? 1067, verse 19, the last verse in the Chumash that we're going to read this Shabbos. When Hashem, your God, gives you rest from your enemies, Ba'aretz. Ba'aretz, what does Ba'aretz mean? Pisgat Zev, I mean Ashkelon, I mean it means Eretz Yisrael. Once you're in the land of Israel, and you have an army, God says, you guys go for it. Isn't that amazing? In Exodus 17, Rabbi Yaakov, we had no country, we had no army. We were defenseless. The Warsaw Ghetto, what did we have? A couple of dozen revolvers, what did we have? And homemade Molotov cocktails. But in Deuteronomy 25, when you are in the land Ba'aretz, startup nation, superpower, we are I think the 7th most powerful army in the world. When you have an army Ba'aretz, which God gives you, then God says, you've got to destroy your enemy. Once you're Ba'aretz, what a pasuk. But anyway, Sunday, we have a special class. What's Sunday? May men and women cross-dress on Purim. Interesting topic. Cross-dressing is a serious sin in Judaism. Remember Yentl? Yentl? So may we play Yentl on Purim. May men and women cross-dress on Purim. That's Sunday.
For more of Rabbi Sprecher's teachings, visit rabbisprecher.com.